Hey guys, Matt Size here, and today I am back for episode number 3 of r/BlackHoleRevenge. Don't mind my little freak out for it. I forgot I don't do camera for the Reddit stuff. And today I have 2 stories lined up, so let's get right into them. We'll start off with this one. Let's all be glad we live in modern times. CMP from an earlier post of mine, subsequently edited to make it clearer. My great-grandmother Lena went looking for her daughter Betty. Betty was the oldest of all the kids left at home. Everyone else was out trying to earn rent. Betty was 11 and hiding in the woodshed or outhouse. There was a system for trips to the outhouse. On the way back from the outhouse, you picked up a little wood from the kitchen, kind of like a toll. Lena's arm was pressed to her side as she passed the woodpile in the shed. Her wrist was broken. She had bruises elsewhere too. Betty also had bruises, but she was holding a heavy cast iron frying pan in her skinny undersized hands when Lena swung open the outhouse door. Previous nights would go like this. Great-Grandpa John would get off work and go drinking. He'd get drunk, get home, beat Lena a little, have a piss and get some wood, and then go back inside and have a bath. After that, he'd beat whoever else was home, maybe eat something, and pass out. Betty knew her mother's broken wrist meant she couldn't take in ironing to make money. The ironing money was used to buy food for dinner. No dinners would mean John would probably beat Lena a lot worse. Maybe kill her, and then they'd lock him up. One parent dead, one parent in prison. Betty knew she and her many siblings need at least one functioning parent to survive. So Betty was hiding in the woodshed/outhouse with that heavy frying pan, ready to beat his head in. Lena found Betty in the woodshed outhouse. She took Betty's pan and told her she'd take care of it. As usual, John came home and beat Lena on the way to the outhouse shed and pissed. He was too drunk to pick up a piece of wood. He then came back and had a bath. Lena didn't keep him from falling down into the relaxing bath water this time. He drowned in 6 inches of water. So, we're saying no one did revenge. He just killed himself, basically. Lena's wrist healed slowly. The bruises on the rest of the family did too, as they were burying John. Lena eventually remarried to someone who didn't drink that much. This all happened because divorce was not an option, and we didn't talk about domestic abuse back then. Divorces happen more often now. Be thankful. He drowned in 6 inches of water. Well, it is possible to drown in 1 inch of water, so I'm not going to complain. Let's just move on to the second story. Abused wife and mother watches husband die. God damn, that is I'm finding more connection to these stories than I expected. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. New user, no abbreviations. This happened in the late 90s, so enough time has elapsed. Why can I not say that word? Elapsed. To safely disclose. I had a friend back then who had been widowed for 4 years. She told me her story of victimization at the hands of her abusive and violent husband. She was mid-20s when her husband died. She was married to a man 20 years her senior. They married when she was still a teenager, and they had a 5-year-old son when her husband died. Her husband was an abusive and violent man who kept tight control over her and the boy. Though he never physically abused the child, he was emotionally abusive and very threatening towards their son. He saved the physical violence for his wife alone. During their marriage, she had been savagely beaten many times She had permanent scars on her body and had been hospitalized several times with broken bones and other serious injuries. She was in fear of her life every day. She was so controlled she was a slave in her own home, fearful of ever stepping out of line. One form of control was to always know where she was at any given moment, and if she ever had to leave the house to shop for or run errands, she would be timed. She was given a time frame to be back in the house, and if she was even just 1 minute late, she would be severely beaten. Hey, at least it wasn't 1 second. Her husband was a licensed gun owner who owned a legal rifle and ammunition as he enjoyed hunting, and he would take that rifle, hold it to her head, and tell her that if she ever attempted to leave him, he would hunt her down and kill both her and their son. As well as the beatings, he would sometimes take the rifle. It was unloaded, but that did not diminish the terror she experienced each time, she told me. She said she was left in no doubt at all if she ever ran, he would find them and kill them both. Damn it. I lost the stupid piece off my mic. Another weapon he used against her was to threaten suicide if she ever left. Many abusers use the manipulation tool of threatening suicide or self-harm to keep their victims tethered to them. When abusers threaten suicide or self-harm, they are causing the fear to arise within victims so that they don't leave. I just realized I just said that word twice. I just said Sudoku twice without censoring the word. In this way, threats of Sudoku are being used as a method of control. It's an incredibly common manipulation tactic used by people with borderline personality disorder, among with other issues. Her husband did have dangerous medication in the house. I don't know what it was, and he would handle his bottle of pills whenever he issued a suicide threat. Sudoku threat. God damn it, brain. One day she had to leave the house to shop for food. On the way back, she was caught in traffic that delayed her return to the house within the time frame she had given. She said the fear and panic was intense because she knew she would return to another serious beating. She said it felt like her insides were being ripped out of her body, and she pulled into the driveway 10 minutes late. She said she walked into the house in a state of blind panic, anticipating the beating, when she saw him. He was motionless on the couch, with the open bottle of pills on the floor beside him. She said she stood there and looked at him with a million thoughts of panic running through her head. Then she made her decision. She went to the other couch and sat down and looked at him, and she said at that moment her heart was pounding in her chest. She knew what he had done. He had done it once before. She was supposed to walk in and find him breathing, but unconscious, in a state of panic, call an ambulance for him just like the last time, but this time she was 10 minutes late home. Last time she got him help in time, but this time she just looked at him. He wasn't breathing, no rise or fall of his chest. She said she looked at the clock on the wall and sat there looking at him, overcoming the panic and emotions, and stayed there until 10 minutes had passed, till she knew he could not be resuscitated, and only then did she walk to the phone and make the call. She said the emergency services and police saw her obvious distress, the crying, the panic, the breakdown, and assumed it was a wife in distress at losing her husband. They didn't know they were watching someone who had just been rescued, someone who was at last free. The authorities did not doubt Sudoku, as it was on record that he had tried it once before. That is the story of how one abused young wife and mother finally became free. P.S. She did rebuild her life, went back to school, earned her degree, and moved on to a solid and safe life for herself and her son. I haven't seen her for years, but have no doubt she has never had any regrets over sitting on that couch that day and watching her husband die. Damn, that's cold. Just sitting there watching your husband die. He earned it for being abusive, though. And with that, I'm going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel. So you guys are going to check out. Links also on the screen to the playlist and the last episode. Go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.